세러데이 쇼다운. 하나생명 e스포츠 대 젠지 e스포츠.
I'm a little bit sad as well because we only got through 4 bans. And I was talking to Wadid yesterday. He's got this new thing planned for if we do have a bit of a pause to be able to discuss the draft with a little bit of a lower third on the space.
Yeah,
but
that'd be
I don't
so
think
much to discuss. Yeah, so you see, interestingly here...
but now, not useful.
So they banned Rumble and Karma. That's,
Wow.
Wow, engaging. Rumble, Karma, Varus.
No, they're not engaged champions. How is that engaging?
Well, for the audience. Their brains are going to feel engaged after seeing those bans.
Really?
Here's a little tidbit for you. Did you know that Rumble, Karma, Varus, the top 3 most banned this season?
Wow.
That surprised you.
Watching this draft, I would have never guessed. Well, Pantheon is going to join that list. I imagine he's probably pretty far up there as well.
Interestingly, no mid laners banned at this point.
If they leave Orianna up, they will be able to convince UCal to pick it. I just know it. And so they're not going to do that. They're just going to ban that one away. The Azir is available. The Rise is available. But I don't know whether they're necessarily blind picks that you really want to be going towards, especially with Daystar's propensity to head towards the Akali. That Azir feels a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah. You could play it safe and try and go in a different direction. But
right. Bird is the word.
Go Azir.
Maybe Bird really is the word and there's an Anivia lock-in on the other side. I wonder if Kellen's been practicing his Anivia. Haven't really seen it much from him. There's been, you know, Lehen's obviously leading the charge, Keria playing it first, but haven't seen it out of Kellen so far. As the Ezreal going to be locked in for Diablo, he definitely loves this champion. Raptor on the Xin Zhao once more.
I assume every supporter's been practicing it at this point.
Oh, they must. It's just whether he's practiced it to a level that they want to play on stage.
Ezreal, big pick for Diablo here, and then the Xin Zhao, especially with the Pantheon and Jarvan gone, has a lot of priority. Bard.
It's Andal's Bard.
Yeah.
This is actually kind of huge. Yeah. Okay, so the Orianna ban is actually kind of costly, as it turns out, because they didn't get to ban the Bard. Now they don't get to lock in a support with the Ezreal, or the Yorick gets to be banned, and so does the Scion.
This is Wadid's favorite.
He hates this lane, doesn't he?
Nico. He's going to be here today. He's going to be sitting. He's going to be watching this. He's going to be like, "Wow, this is my favorite bot lane, and I'm glad they picked it."
Yeah, I really can't wait for him to really talk about how well Diablo and Kellen played with this incredibly good bottom lane.
Yeah. And that's the thing. As you said, huge cost of going the Nico on 3 means that you can't pick the Yorick into the Jace that we've seen so much. So I have no doubt it is going to be that Yorick ban coming through.
It does protect your mid lane because they now do have to use their bans on the top side of the map. That's almost a guarantee. So the Yorick does go away. I think that Clear is very happy to play Cassante if the Scion is banned and Scion if the Cassante is banned. So he's not too worried there. Clear has just been a weak side top laner in a lot of their games, just based on Diablo existing on this team. So I don't mind it, but I don't know whether this is necessarily a core that's going to lead to winning.
I think here you could ban Scion if you want to put another towards the top lane, or you could go for that Akali that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it would be a decent one.
Give some protection to UCal, and they do go for the Akali, giving some defense to the Azir. And also, I feel like the composition, when you already have the Nico, definitely some threat of diving.
Yeah.
When you have this Azir Jace, you want to play at range against this composition, so I think it makes sense. Does mean that KRX could just grab Scion here.
I kind of
this is a different flavor of Scion. It's
Clear just really does like to play the Cassante Scion instead of the Scion.
Yeah.
That's what he prefers to do.
Big tank in the top lane into Jace. Nothing we haven't seen before. And now
Yunara Bard. Or Bunara, as it were.
You know, Yunara Lulu's obviously the one that's...
Wait, or to be Yard.
I like Yard the most.
Yard would be so much better.
Yard is by far the best.
How far does she dash? About a yard.
Yunara Lulu is the one we've seen the most, but, you know, Yunara's kind of been paired with a lot of things. Pretty much solid in a lot of situations. I think this matchup as well you should be fine in. If the poke lands consistently, might be a little bit of trouble, but if you get wave control, if you get some heals from the Bard, you're chilling. They end up going for the Vi, for Willa.
There's a lot of power in this draft.
CC, yeah. Now for the mid lane pick for Daystar.
See what he does go with. there isn't a massive amount of engage on DRX's side, so you could go for something like a Hwei or a Victor even if you wanted to really kind of go into that. But instead, it is going to be the Aurora here for Daystar. Does add a little bit of protection, a little bit more difficult to just sweep her up and collect kills with the flash on cooldown. And so Daystar is going to provide a little bit of protection for himself, but also a whole lot of burst damage. And I feel like Aurora Ezreal works similarly to that of like Zoe Ezreal back in the day. A lot of mobility, self-peel, things like this in order to get around the battlefield.
My concern for BNK KRX is that Aurora Ezreal both feel like champions where they kind of want some momentum, and they're so skill shot reliant. I mean, Aurora, if you miss your combo, you're just kind of sitting there for like a good portion of the fight doing nothing. Ezreal, we all know how skill shot reliant he is, and that's all their damage for the most part. So I think BNK KRX definitely have win conditions, but I think they need to get the ball rolling early, and especially this Xin Zhao needs to get things going. On the other side, though, I think with having a Azir, a Yunara, and a Jace, if you get to the later stages, you're in such a fine spot. All you need to do is just kind of stabilize the early game and lean into the later stages.
That being said, this plays into BFX's hands, right? They love fighting over that first scuttle. They love fighting over the second one and the third one. And their composition should be able to benefit from an aggressive playstyle like that. See if it does as we get onto the Rift. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Summoner's Rift here for game number 1 between KRX and Kirim DRX. We have the KRX fans not necessarily getting themselves in order for the fan chant, so we're hoping that this one goes to 3 games to give them a little bit of an opportunity to get their voices loud and, you know, a little bit more coordinated. But they'll have time to do that. This is thankfully a best of 3, and so they've at least got one more game. As Daystar turns up to this mid lane, have to see how this Aurora is going to do into the Azir matchup this time. Seen him plenty of times.
Yeah, Azir with Airy as well, so really wanted to put down the pressure in those early trades, getting that extra damage with the poke.
So I know Wadid really hates this bottom lane, and I am kind of a guy that does harp on about just personally disliking certain bottom lanes, so I'm not going to blame him for it. But I do think that Diablo and Callan have been pretty good at playing this one out in the past when they do get their hands on it.
Yeah, and you know, there is a good amount of poke. If you miss the poke, it feels pretty bad, as most poke situations do. But the main thing is keeping Lazyfield off the wave. If you can't stack up his passive and trade with those empowered autos, he's pretty weak. That being said, when you're playing with the Bard, though, he can always just set up the shrines and just heal you. Hard to really make the pressure stick that heavily. And on top of that, as much as you can find pressure in bot lane 2v2, I just feel like with how strong home gods are, it's really hard to fully force someone out of lane.
Well, they're doing their very best right now, as Cannon will be secured here by Diablo. Level 3 is going to be gained pretty soon for this bottom lane. Only a couple of minions left, so they should be able to keep up the pressure. Speaking of pressure, Daystar is in a fair bit of trouble here. Does manage to get that Electrocute proc to even things out momentarily. Looks like Yukal is having an absolutely fine time in here. And that's a bit of a worry here for BNK KRX, as obviously the Azir is going to scale pretty wonderfully moving into the later stages of the game. Getting a free lane is precisely what he would like, as Raptor is level 3, and therefore he is in the bottom lane. Lazyfield does have Andal making his way back, but it's still going to be an attempted dive as Callan's the one to pick up the aggro first, but First Blood goes his way. Flash out for Diablo, and Raptor can just walk it off. A successful dive. 3v2 here for BFX.
This is how you really twist the knife in the matchup, because if the wave crashed there, if Andal's there just to protect you, and it's just a 2v2 playing out, I think Lazyfield would be completely fine. But by getting the dive off, making him miss a ton of CS, ton of farm, and really putting him behind the matchup, it feels great for BNK KRX. Andal even got the stun off onto Callan. It just still wasn't enough.
Really nicely played. And obviously it's difficult because very squishy bottom laners. You know, Kellen and Diablo in this one. Andal. The magicality of the journey was missing.
Not the longest journey we've seen.
No, maybe it's just an ordinary journey. As Clear is going for a solo kill onto Rich. The flash and the flash to follow. Rich was always going to die there. And Clear is able to pick that one up. Man, this guy's Cassante. You understand why he picks Cassante over Sion, right?
Yep, I'm seeing it. And we have seen some of the tanks, like we saw the Sion into Jace get a solo kill earlier in the league. And we're seeing Xante into Jace. If you disrespect these tanks, they can kill you. But it really shouldn't be happening. Really rough for Rich now, but also fair play to Clear. Finding that angle puts him in a great spot in a lane where normally you're just kind of weathering the storm and hoping to outvalue in team fights.
Yeah, and I think this was a capitalization of Clear getting the earlier teleport, Rich greeting for an extra wave before he goes back, and unfortunately was unable to do so. So really beautifully played there for Clear. Misses even that Q3 and still manages to find the angle.
Yeah, and Rich just sticks around for so long.
Yeah.
It just felt like he really disrespected him. Like he stuck around, queued in earlier even. And we got to see the point of view there. That didn't look particularly challenging for Clear.
No,
like he played it well, but he didn't like cheer like, oh, I got him. That was so... It was like, oh.
Yeah, he didn't really look like that, the guy sweating on the keyboard, you know? he did look a little bit more like he was just typing up a document or something like that. It did not look like it was too much of a struggle. So definitely well played, as Diablo is obviously going to Arcane Shift into melee range of anyone who comes towards him. And now you got a Mountain Drake going down. Difficult Drake to kill, but something that KRX will not be challenged doing, especially with Willa just making his way out of base now. So first Dragon going on over, the first 2 kills here for KRX, and they are off to the races here in this early game.
It's some great early momentum, honestly. Said that's kind of what we wanted from the draft. They've found it already. And speak of found it, found Willa.
Willa does have a decent health bar on him right now, as Andal is going to rotate over, but Daystar was there as well. Looks like Raptor is just going to let him leave because he wanted to pick up this crab. And fighting for crabs, that's what we were talking about before as well. They would very much like to do that. Unfortunately for Raptor, there are no bad guys, and so he's just going to have to settle with taking it for free.
Yeah, they're going to have to fight. Just a freebie, which, as you said, I think maybe a bit disappointing.
Yeah, I imagine they were.
But they'll take it either way. Now looking to apply some pressure, but... You know, Nico got that early kill as well, and it's not as severe as some other games where we saw like the early triple kill on the Nico, but early gold on a Nico support can be so hard to deal with.
It's actually kind of fine, as here's an all-out attempt from Clear. It does get booped back by the Hammer of Rich. Both of them obviously flashing at exactly the same time, so Clear knowing that he had that angle. Wind Becomes Lightning does come in. There's the 3-talon strike. And True Shot Barrage almost just straight up kills Willa. He has to flash to get himself out of the way and loses his blue buff. This pressure is unrelenting from KRX.
Yeah, I mean, Raptor had ult, so he was ready to rumble though.
Why is Rich continuously getting solo killed, Ox?
I don't
Analyze it for me, sir.
He's just thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we came back into the series when we were 1-0 down? Dramatic tension.
Well, I mean, that would be that'd be drama.
Or maybe he just doesn't enjoy playing Jace. What? Why was he there?
And why did he walk away? I feel like, you know, even if he had have, like, died underneath the turret, it's likely that Clear dies more if he has to go further under the turret.
I think he just really greeted for the wave. He just really greeted for the wave, and he thought if I clear the wave, he can't dive me. Of course, he was very low, and Clear's very tanky, so that wasn't going to work. But either way, Rich is just not having a great game so far. Clear, on the other hand, seems pretty locked in.
Yeah, locked in for the 1v1s, absolutely. Pathmaker comes through yet again, finds another Q. And
I think the problem with any matchup, but particularly with matchups in a Jace, is when you fall behind, they really start to spiral.
Oh no. Clear Mr. Cannon. It is a Cassante zoning a Jace out of lane.
Yeah, it just feels like,
to see.
Like I think if Clear connects when he has ult, I think he just kills Rich. I actually think he's just dead as soon as he gets his ult back and he connects like a Q3 or something. So not going to be so fun.
Speaking of fun, Raptor is moving into the mid lane to look for some of that, but looks like Yukal will be able to make his way out. And Andal's rotating over alongside Willa. Kellen getting on in there, but it is not really time for the Dragon just yet. Next one going to be a Cloud as, oh dear, we got the Jonas Strong mini zoom. And there's the Pathmaker coming on forward. The all-out brings Rich away as the flash on forward. And Rich is very dead. The turret loses interest and Clear makes it out. That is 3 solo kills!
Yep. Yeah, Clear's really bumping up his solo kill stat right now.
This is some Rascal-esque stuff that we're seeing here.
Also, it's just... Yeah, you hit the Q3, he's just dead.
Huh.
And it is just not going to get better. Clear's going to get so tanky. And we often see the Iceborne Gauntlet early on Cassante, but especially with how this matchup is going. If you get that now, he is just, you can just chain kill him. The slow is going to mess him up.
Well,
I hope that guy in the crowd who is studying is still locked in the study, because I can guarantee if this was happening, I would be so distracted.
I feel like the studying becomes easier though when you don't want to watch, and if you're a DRX fan, then you may not want to watch at this point in time, especially when we're heading towards the top side. Is oh no, there he is. He's not studying at all. Eyes down, sir.
Well, he said he'll study, just win. They're not winning. They're not winning, so he's not studying. It was an agreement. It was a social contract, and so far KRX DRX have broken it. They need to start winning, and then he can get his studying on.
Oh, he was considering going back to it, but no. He is drawn to the screen. He needs to see how KRX DRX are going to be able to turn this game around.
Honestly, that was how I studied. And again,
like not studying. Is that,
yeah,
because that was the strategy I used as well. I just didn't lie to myself
and
about it.
That's how we're both casters.
Yeah. Tell you what, I got some great items in World of Warcraft though. Okay, Clear is able to chase down Rich once again. Now has a CS lead. I mean, it's an absolute disaster. Second Drake going on over to being KRX. And when do we start having conversations about perfect games, Orcs?
I mean, I guess now if you want.
Yeah, I don't need to. We don't need to do it just yet. If it continues this way, maybe we'll go for it. It's being KRX. I mean, they're never going to not die in a game. Like, that's crazy.
I cannot fathom that happening.
Well, there's a pop blossom, catches both of them here, and there is the snare as well. True Shot Barrage is gorgeous. And Andal is just going to set up Lazy Feel for a moment, and that means that the skill shots are much easier to hit. Now, Rich, speaking of easier to hit, he is a big target, but he goes all out onto Rich. Just wants one more solo kill as the Pathmaker comes through. Doesn't find the Q though, and Yukal is able to cut him down. Daystar able to utilize the absent Azir though to take some plates in the mid lane, and they had to invest a lot to try and kill Clear and destroy the perfect game.
I think that's the problem, is that killing Clear is obviously good, but you don't really change the top lane matchup. It's Azir who got that gold. Rich gets some from the plates, but he's still behind. You lose a ton of plates mid, lose a ton of plates bot, you get these kills bot as well. Being KRX's gold lead went up despite the shutdown onto the Cassante, so pretty unfortunate. And I mean, I don't blame Andal for this, because as a bard, what else can you do? But this just lines up for the Mystic shot.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you have to test the timing.
Over.
We've seen a lot of people miss the timing, right?
Yeah.
Diablo doesn't, so it does look silly.
This one was a bit unfortunate for Clear. Just wasn't able quite to stick to the Jace, who just kind of played around in the brush, which was the right call. They even had the Vi there ready if they needed it. But
if you had gone 1-for-1, it would have been horrific.
They were like 1,400 gold ahead.
Whoa.
Prior to those plays. Now they're 1,800 gold ahead, so...
Diablo just hit every single button, and both of the bottom laners have to leave. Oh, goodness, and they're not even allowed to leave, and the True Shot Barrage connects onto both as well!
Yeah, Lazyfield had no flash, and his ult just came up. So, no way to get away from that one. Being KRX with a great move.
Diablo didn't miss anything. He literally hit everything.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great macro move by being KRX, but it was capitalizing on the fact that Diablo's just pretty cracked.
He is pretty cracked indeed. That's all right. Yukal is going to pick up the bunny. And Daystar's like, cool story.
Bunnies are slippery, you know.
They are.
Not the easiest animals to wrangle.
Yeah. Went down the burrow once again, I guess. But yeah, I don't really know what the plan was.
Oh my god.
Raptors, oh dear. Lazy Feel is not having a very good time.
You know, the thing is, right, is I feel like Lazy Feel... It's
not
a
his
concerted
fault.
effort to make him suffer, yes.
Yeah.
It's a concerted effort to make him suffer. It feels really bad. He's 0-4-0.
And I imagine he's telling his team, he's like, guys, they keep focusing me, keep winning elsewhere. And Rich is like, about that.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, is that the top lane situation feels more egregious because it was just individual errors. But regardless of whose responsibility it is, the fact of the matter is, KRX are monster ahead.
Yeah.
The only person who's having a great time is Yukal.
And, you know, Yukal is often exuberant here in the LCK, so we'll see whether he can share some of that energy with the rest of his teammates. Is clear.
Whoa.
I think he can kind of do anything ever as he flashes on top of Rich once again. Raptor looking for an angle. Oh, Q3 not going to land.
Yeah, Rich did his full combo and broke his shield. Fortunately, Willow was there to help and get some more damage down, but not looking so... Oh my god.
Why does he hits everything? The barrier is there to keep Lazy Feel alive, but I haven't seen Diablo miss an ability. He missed a cannon. He missed a cannon. He misses cannons, not champions, I guess, is what we learned here today. As Rich is at least able to clear out that wave. Does take some Mystic Shot damage as this Trinity Force has been put to great work here by Diablo so far. And it's a 3,700 gold lead, but it feels like an 8,000 gold lead at this point in the game.
It feels like such a mental edge.
Oh, yeah. This is what happens when you overload the tempo vibes.
Yeah.
It's gone beyond. Well, right now, the Rift Arrow is going to be taken here by Raptor. Should be very comfortably able to do that.
The thing we got to think about is at least they did get that single kill, because...
True! There we go.
We would really be revisiting the perfect game conversation a lot at this point if they hadn't.
Yeah, it does take that away from us, which is a little bit of a shame.
We lose that tool.
Yeah, I would have liked to have had that conversation. Rich does cash in his cull, though, and so now the gold lead between the Jace and the Cassante that solo killed him 3 times is only 300, which I feel is unfair. But he has been given a bunch of waves, things like that.
I think the thing is, though...
Yeah, I mean, clear was going to be useful anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that normally Jace wants to be ahead of the curve and then get to team fights and be, like, really strong. Cassante is, like, okay. Like, Cassante Sion, you pick in a Jace and you're okay with being behind just to be useful. If you're ahead, it's like, oh, that's worrying.
See how quickly Willow left? Sees clear, is like, nope.
No,
that is not a thing that we're capable of doing.
Dragon up again is an Ocean Soul, so not the craziest priority, but I mean, Clear will be monstrous if he gets it, but I think they will just pick up the 3rd one.
I do feel like the team kind of utilizes it relatively well just because they can elongate fights. You mentioned the fact that they're a team that is largely about burst. Like even Ezreal is a relatively burst AD carry. And so if they can sort of weave in and out, you can utilize some Ocean Soulage just a little. But looks like KRX actually want to fight for this. Is down to 50%. Does go Willa. Lazy Feel is a billion miles away, exactly the way he likes it.
So I think KRX got what they wanted, which was the TP from Clear. Hard, very difficult for them really to fight that one with the deficit they're at now. And especially with it being an Ocean Soul, I'm not too sad about them giving away 3rd Dragon.
Raptor is
like a hex deck
hunting right now.
He is looking.
Well, Rift Herald is going to come down here in this mid lane. More plates will fall. Diablo in range. So even more money over to the Ezreal. And down it will go. Andal not going to get flashed on here by Callan. He saves that one for Rich as he looks to continue the punishment. Q3 connects and down goes the Jace. I don't really know how much he's worth right now, but it cannot be that much. 0-4 and not having a great time. But it's close to a 900 gold advantage just for Clear alone. And now he's looking to add Willa to his list of victims. We'll be able to clear out his camp at least as well, as this top lane outer turret has 0 health.
Yeah, it's very low. I mean, it's still tanky enough, especially with no AD on Xante. You can't just walk over and kill it. But with the backdoor bonus, I mean, yeah, this play, they go for the engage. CC set up onto the Jace, and also getting the flash from the Yunara feels pretty great. So nicely done there by Kellen. This feels like a formality, though.
Yeah.
We've seen games with bigger comebacks than this, but it's just feeling rough right now.
It is. It's been feeling rough for a while. And the thing that we do need to study here, right, is the KRX have made quite a few errors in their previous games, especially here in the LCK. LCK Cup definitely looked a whole lot cleaner.
True.
So I think what we can study is how they're going to close out this game. Or we could study what that guy in the audience is studying and try and help him out. Maybe we can have a little seminar afterwards and we can have a review session and figure it out. But now Daystar is going in on top of Rich, as that is not the real Nico. And Rich is going to have to get on out of here. If that was Diablo, they know that it's not him because he hasn't arcane shifted yet.
This feels a little bit uncomfortable.
Well,
I like how Andel's trying to make his way over, but it's just not happening.
Based on the 0-5 now, nature of Rich, I think this might be his comfort zone.
Diablo got 293 gold for the Jace.
That's way too much gold. As Willer's just going to get cut down underneath the turret, going for a dive. That was more like food delivery rather than an attempted assassination.
Yeah. Am I going to criticize that dive? No. At this point...
Maybe we did, Ken.
At this point, the game is looking in a pretty dire spot. I think we might have hit the point where it is give them Soul and flip Elder. I think that's the angle.
Yeah. Or give them Nexus and go next game.
That is also an angle.
Yeah.
It's viable.
Possibility.
We've seen teams lose game 1 and win series before.
It has happened.
So it's definitely a strategy you can pursue. And it would preserve what is left of the KDAs of KRX.
Yeah.
Would prevent Clear getting any more solo kills. He's on 4 this game.
Yeah.
4 for 4.
He just does not need any help in this game.
This early in the season, you know, players, I feel like a high number is like 6.
Yeah.
Like that's a crazy high. He's got 4 from a single game.
I wonder whether we have the stats for Clear solo kills so far.
I wonder the stats. I wonder who is highest in solo kills before this game and how many it was.
I'll have to have a look. I don't know whether I have the stats on hand right now, but maybe we could get Yundo on it.
Yeah, if production can help us, it'd be great to know solo kills highest so far this season.
He's on it. All right, we'll report back to see whether Clear in this game has kind of doubled. He's at least doubled his own solo kills. I don't know how many he's got so far, but the number cannot be too high based on how they've been going.
Could it be his first 4? Like, that wouldn't be that crazy, honestly.
No.
With how KRX's initial series have gone. We'll see. We'll find out.
Well, Baron is up for another 2.5 minutes here.
BFX is apparently first with 10, which is actually crazy. But that is fair, he's been playing monstrously well. But 10 this quickly is pretty insane.
All right.
Clear so far going into this had 2, so he's tripled it in just this game.
That is nuts. Shio and Chobi both have 6 as well.
So Clear's now tied with that in second.
Perfect is so far ahead when it comes to solo kills. That is ridiculous. All right, Raptor is in a lot of trouble. He's just dead. But the rest of KRX are going to turn up. Tempered Fate hits onto only one as Diablo's able to arcane shift away. Yukal trying to get some damage down, but this Cassante is basically immovable. And now LazyField finds himself caught out of position. An unlikely miss there on the W, but Daystar comes on over and will be able to take him out. Pop Blossom is going to connect onto 2 as well as Andil has to get out of there. Rich finally finds himself a kill, but it's only onto the support and the flash forward as Clear gets the shutdown. Yukal doing a whole bunch of work as Clear dives on in, and this Cassante saying he's a problem would be an understatement and probably the largest one of the LCK so far.
Yeah.
Outside of KT are looking better than we expected. That,
honestly, from KRX was a pretty insanely well-played team fight. But...
Oh, wait. Oh, he didn't spot him! Neither did Raptor! Oh, they were just glued to the Drake!
You know, we've seen people walk in the brushes with
That's
wards,
mad movie. That's
with
mad movie
control
right
wards
there.
and miss them, but a whole bard is pretty exceptional.
He was blending in with all of his chimes.
Yeah, very subtle.
He put down a pile of chimes and hit underneath
He just stayed completely still. Yeah, so this fight...
And Raptor obviously didn't see him because he's a dinosaur.
True.
Only sees motion. Yeah, that's...
There you go. This fight was actually really well played by KRX. Unfortunately, you see them hitting Clear, and yet I don't see his health bar really moving. No. That's one of the big barriers. Diablo just chunks LazyField out, and LCK ends up going down. But like, we're getting some great stuns from Andal throughout this fight, getting a lot of value here. He gets another one later here. That one there on the carries. And ultimately, I think KRX did the best considering their deficit.
All right, well, oh, he pressed tab. He was just in the shop. All right, well, we have a bit of a siege here as, oh my goodness, Ucal's getting punished. Crescent Guard comes in just to make sure the Raptor is protected, and down will go Willa. The flash out does get Ucal to relative safety, but he's just gonna have to watch as his Nexus goes down. This was an absolute massacre here in game number 1 as B&K KRX looking like they're revitalized, at least in this best of 3. Andal going to get punished after getting out scot-free before, as there is the Nexus falling. Man! That was utter domination.
So for KRX's sake, he doesn't move any further up the standings.
He might, like, if he has a back-to-back performance like that, he'll be able to tie with Perfect at top of the standings.
That would be crazy.
That would be.
아직 없어.
아직
오케이,
없어.
오케이. 발트. 오케이.
아직 공 받았고.
아직 2한
싸워볼게
번.
나.
아직 2한 번. 아직 2분 걸렸어.
아지를.
아직을 봐줘. 아직 올걸.
나이스. 좋다. 아지를 궁 있다.
노플이야 노플.
끝내자.
아직 노플이야. 나 2, 4초. 아직 2 한 번 칠게.
나이스.